you can see me. Welcome to my live stream today. Welcome. Today is the 13th of May 2026. We are officially in Q2, right? Q2 started in April, but the month is moving. That's to say that time is not waiting for you. Our topic for today is a time architect, mastery through accountability. Accountability. Welcome. You join the live stream. Please drop your location, drop your name, so I can get to meet you if this is your first time. And if this isn't your first time, let me know as well in the comments. Thank you for joining me today. I want to read something to you quickly from Dr. Cindy Trim's book, Goodbye Yesterday. We're talking about time today, right? So let's dive straight in. To realize the value of 1 year, ask a student who has failed a few courses at university. To realize the value of 1 month, ask a mother who has given birth to a premature baby. To realize the value of 1 week, ask an editor of a weekly newspaper. To realize the value of 1 day, ask a daily wage laborer who has kids to feed based on his ability to work. To realize the value of 1 hour, ask the bride who is patiently waiting at the altar to meet her groom. To realize the value of 1 minute, ask a person who has missed her connecting flight. To realize the value of 1 second, ask a person who has avoided an accident. To realize the value of 1 millisecond, ask the person who has won a silver medal in the Olympics. What does that tell you? Time is extremely valuable. It's our most precious resource, and that is what God has given to everybody equally. Welcome to my live stream today. We are going to be talking about time mastery, the time architect, the mastery of accountability. So there was a research done by Human Capital Trends, and the records show that only 5.7% of organizations and professionals are considered high performers who complete 75% or more of their goals. High performers have an active ownership rate of 3x higher than the average professional. They do not have me time, rather they don't have more time, pardon me, they do not have more time, rather they have a better feedback loop. Are you in the 5.7%? They don't have more time, they have a better feedback loop. What's the feedback loop that they're harnessing? That's accountability, the power of accountability, and that's what we're going to discuss today. So let's dive straight in. The time architect, mastery through accountability. Welcome to my stream. Please drop your location and your name. Thank you for joining me so I get to meet you. Right, so let's go straight in. 3 frameworks we're going to discuss today. If you missed the session last week, please go back to it so you don't miss out on anything, right? The first framework is the if-then friction firewall. The second is the sequential engineering and micro deadlines. And the third is aligned energy mapping. So these are the frameworks that we're going to run through in this live stream. Thank you for joining me today. So for you to activate radical accountability, this is your path to non-negotiable execution. There are certain things you need to do and put in place. Like I said, we're in 2026 already, Q2 of 2026. Today is May 13th, and time is not waiting for you. Your goals must be executed, and we are ending that today. We are ending that cycle of non-execution and procrastination today, right? If you agree with me, say yes. Okay, so time is not waiting for you. What does that mean? It means you need to put your dreams to flight. Whatever it is you have planned, whatever it is you know you need to do that needs to be done, you better get to work. Okay, the execution gaps exist, and that's what I discussed last time. Thank you, Ira Stella, for joining me. The execution gaps exist, and we're here to close it. So how do we do that? Planning is great, but you must put in the work. Have that execution bias, right? Build that muscle to execute on your goals and your tasks. Don't allow procrastination paralyze you. If you are the architect, accountability is the structural support. Your intentions are not enough, right? Let me repeat that again. If you are the architect, accountability is the structural support. Your intentions are not enough. It's not just enough to say, oh, I want to get this done, I want to do this, I want to do that. You need accountability. Those days will come when you wouldn't feel like getting to work. So that's the extra buffer that you put in so you get to work whether you feel like it or not. And remember, I talked about the brain science, how your emotional brain is always at war. It doesn't want you to get to work, right? The limbic hijack. So what do? You have to prime yourself. You have to prime yourself every time. Give your brain the language that it needs. Tell it that that task or that goal that you're about to execute is not a threat. So it allows you to put in the deep work. And the goal is to build a brain that craves deep work, right? Your goal is to build a brain that craves deep work. So let's dive straight in. Three frameworks that we're going to be talking about today: the if then fiction firewall, the sequential engineering, and micro deadlines. And then the third is aligned energy mapping. Stay with me, okay? So the if then fiction firewall, that's merging implementation intentions with fiction analysis. 2 weeks ago, I talked about, or probably 3 weeks ago, I talked about choice architecture. And last week, we talked about implementation intentions. What does that say? It's like habit stacking. So you're stacking the new habit on the old one. The old habit is something you do anyway. So you stack the new one on the old one. That's how it works. Environmental cues and emotional resistance can hijack execution. So you have to prime your environment. Choice architecture is a solution here. You're priming your environment so that you leave clues all around that show you are ready to, that allow you to execute quickly on that goal that you have set for yourself. So the if then fiction firewall, there's a research done by Peter Goldwitzer, and it proves that specifying exactly when, where, and how your a behavior will be performed can boost goal achievement from less than 30% to over 90%. That's a staggering increase, right? Peter Golitzer's work proves that specifying exactly when, where, and how a behavior will be performed can boost goal achievement from less than 30% to over 90%. And how do you set up that system? It's through accountability. So if you missed getting into cohort 6 of the Unstoppable Me, I'm going to drop the waitlist in the description. Unstoppable Me is our 90-day deep dive execution accelerator where you move your ideas from ideation and you start executing, right? Your ideas take flight, you elevate your self-concept, and your shift goes from planning to executing. You can't keep planning forever. So get into that execution accelerator where the energy and momentum from the group helps you put your dreams to flight. So let's go ahead. That's what Peter Golitzer is talking about. When you specify exactly when, where, and how a behavior will be performed, it can boost your goal achievement from 30% to over 90%. Okay, so what's the action plan here? You're going to identify the highest friction point in your current execution strategy. What's the highest friction point that you experience in your execution strategy? Identify that. So, for example, maybe if you procrastinate on writing your financial report, you procrastinate on going to the gym to exercise, you procrastinate on really putting your dreams to flight, whatever it is, whatever that goal is that you have set for yourself, what can you do? Identify that friction point. Identify that friction point. Identify that friction point. What you can't measure, what you don't measure, you can't improve. So when you identify it, you've identified that, okay, this is the friction point. What's the next thing that you need to do? We are using the 3S friction filter. Using the 3S friction filter and combining it with the if then friction firewall. So stay with me, we're breaking it down in a bit. So the 3S friction filter, that's what is it in my environment that can stop me, that can slow me down, or that can stagnate my execution process. The 3S friction filter, what is it that would stop me, that would slow me down, or that would sidetrack my progress on that goal that I have set for myself? You identify this, and that's you priming your environment. You can drop your questions in the comments and I'll take them afterwards. That's you priming your environment. So there's nothing that stops you from getting into that zone of deep focus. Choice architecture is the key, right? Dropping environmental cues all around you. So the next logical thing you need to your the next logical action that you take is to really do the work that you need to do. Don't allow procrastination to set in. So if you feel resistance, I'm running you through a scenario now, what you can do practically. So if you feel a resistance, if you feel a resistance to write that financial report, if you feel a resistance to get into the gym, if you feel a resistance to do the work that you have set for yourself, what do? Set a timer for 10 minutes for non-stop work. So once you feel that resistance, once you decide that, okay, I'm going to get this job done, and then you feel that resistance, immediately get your timer and set a 10 minute non-stop. Get your timer and set your timer for a 10 minute non-stop deep work. You just need to overcome that challenge of the first 2 minutes, and then you stay on gradually. Okay, if you can't do 10 minutes, you do 5. If you can't do 5, you do 2. It's in layers. We just want to overcome that initial barrier. Recall that I talked about activation energy, the energy you need to kickstart that process or that action. So this is critical and important. We've talked about the if then friction firewall. The second is a sequential engineering and micro deadlines. Sequential engineering and micro deadlines. That's merging critical path method with micro accountability. Is there somebody in your life that will not take your excuses? There has to be that person in your life who would not take excuses from you. So you get into a contract with them that you're going to execute on certain goals, and I need you to hold me accountable if I don't do them. In the sense that you're placing a fine on yourself. There's something that would happen that will cost you if you don't get that job done. It works 100% all the time, right? So what do? Sequential engineering and micro deadlines. This is one aspect that you can execute or try, merging critical path methods with micro accountability. So goals feel overwhelming. Goals always feel overwhelming. It's get the hype when you're trying to plan it, but in execution, that overwhelm normally, usually would always kick in. So what do you need to do? And that leads to paralysis. You discover that people start procrastinating. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Or you rather do some other task that is not even in line with the goal you have set for yourself than sitting with the project that is at hand. That's your brain trying to escape. We're trying to build a brain that craves deep work. So when these goals feel overwhelming, the critical path method is what you can integrate. And that's in engineering. The critical path method identifies the absolute essential sequence of tasks. The critical path method identifies the absolute sequential sequence of tasks, essential sequence of tasks. So what are you doing here? Your your brain thrives when deadlines are closer. So let me paint this scenario. Have you been in a situation where you know you have a project to deliver and you probably had a month to work on it, or maybe 6 months or 2 months, but you kept dilly-dallying, you kept procrastinating, you kept pushing it forward. I'll get it done, I'll get it done, I'll get it done. And then you just realize that you have just 48 hours to deliver and the workload is massive. So what do you do? What starts to happen? You get into that panic state, and then your system is pumping you with all the energy that you need to do all of that work within that short time frame. So you see that you're fired up to do the work. Procrastination is no longer there because you know there's something at stake if you don't get the work done. So at that point in time, you're able to sit to do the work. What's happening there? That's what I'm explaining. So your brain thrives when deadlines are closer. When deadlines are closer, your brain thrives. But that's not how genius is built, right? That's not how genius is built. You can't always wait for the last minute before you execute on your projects or your goals. Some of them need time. Okay? So take your weekly goal and reverse engineer the sequential critical path. What are you doing? What is the very first action domino that must fall? What's the very first action? Remember, it's if it's a level 10, you have to go from level 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10. So what's that tiny action or step you need to take in the now? Do it. That's identifying the critical path, right? So shorten the accountability loop from 1 week to 4 hours. You know yourself. You know you stall when you're meant to do certain things. So shorten that window of accountability. So if you know you're meant to deliver your milestones weekly, why not shorten it to a day or 2 days or 3 days, just so you're able to get into you get the momentum that you need to really get to work, right? We're working with the lowest energy that we need. Okay, so if it's going to take a week, cut that activation window to 3 to 4 hours or 3 hours or 5 hours. So set a mandate. You're submitting your draft chapter 1 by 1 p.m. and you're going to send a physical communication text to your accountability partner, right? Your accountability partner is not going to take your excuses. Your accountability partner would not take your excuses. So you know you have to deliver. You need an accountability system that gets you working and will not take your excuses to the bank. You know, when people get into conversations of secrecy and all, and they want you to, feel relaxed and not guarded, so to speak. They tell you that you can take out my confidentiality to the bank. So let your accountability partner be a person who wouldn't take your excuses to the bank. They won't take your excuses from you. That's the kind of accountability system that you need, and that's what Unstoppable Me does for you. So let's head along. So set up a commitment contract. If you're really serious about what you want to achieve, what you want to do, take yourself seriously. You don't remember what I read, that you don't have all the time in the world to get that stuff done. You're not the custodian of time, but you can redesign your time every day. Every day you wake up, we all have 24 hours. How do you use it? Are you investing it or you're wasting it? So you have to prime your environment to ensure that you are maximizing every single second in 24 hours to get the job done. Okay? So set up a commitment contract with a partner where the focus is on the progress, because actually if you look at it, it's the process of who you become that is more important than the success that you achieve. The process of who you become is actually the most important part compared to the goal that you're able to achieve. Remember, when children are born, they go through that process of growing up from day one when they are born to 9 months to 1 year, 12 months, all the way to 18 years, 24 years, 30 years, and all of that. What's happening? They are growing, they are developing, right? And as they grow and develop, so the challenges that they face, right? So you have to put yourself in that process. Remember, there was a time I talked about excruciating growth. The person who receives the goal, the dream, the idea, is not the person who executes it. It's it's an elevated version of you that actually executes that goal or that project. But you have to go through that process. Every time you're consistent, every time you report to your accountability partner, every time you don't take yourself for granted, you set an assignment for you set a goal and a target for yourself, and you do it. You're reporting, you're sending a clear signal to your subconscious that you take yourself seriously. This goal or this project that I'm embarking on, I'm taking it seriously and I'm not backing down. That's how you take yourself seriously and elevate your self-concept. That's self-respect right there. Because you can show up for everybody, but you don't want to show up for yourself. That's not good enough. When it's time for you to roll up your sleeves and get the job done, you better do that, right? Because whatever it is that you feed your brain, you're giving it messages and signals on how to either support you or stand against you whenever you want to do anything, execute a goal or a project. So get to work, get into that accountability system that helps you thrive. Okay, there's a person you must become while you execute that project or that goal. There's a person you must become so that you can steward the final version of that project or that idea or that goal properly, right? A steward knows that they are not okay, fine, maybe they are probably responsible at that point in time, but they are meant to really multiply whatever it is they have been given. They are meant to harness the gifts that are in that idea or that project. They are meant to bring out the best, right? So you have to see yourself this way. Moving on, framework 3 is your energy mapping. We are going to be talking about your chronotype, aligning your energy, and merging biological rhythms with performance flow. The third framework is your chronotype, aligned energy mapping, and that's merging biological rhythms with the performance flow. So the core problem is scheduling hard work during biological slumps. So we have the peak period, we have the trough period, and we have the recovery period. I think I spoke about this a couple of weeks back, that you must identify when your energy is highest so that you get into your deep work zone when your energy is highest. So you're going with your biological rhythms. So the core problem is scheduling hard work during biological slumps. The main problem is scheduling deep work or hard work during your biological slumps. So your energy is not active 24 hours of the day. It's in cycles. There are cycles where it's high, there are cycles where it's low, there are cycles where it's trying to recover, right? So it's a cycle: high, low, recovery, high, low, recovery. So set your deep work during your peak performance window. That's what we're talking about in framework 3. Scientific data on circadian rhythms, that's your chronotype, poses that cognitive performance fluctuates widely throughout the day. Start blocking your deep work periods based on your energy mapping. So I'm wrapping this up quickly. So your daily mandates must be placed inside your peak performance window. Your daily mandate must be placed within your peak performance window. So we have the peak, trough, and recovery performance window. Like I said, Okay, so your daily mandate must be placed within your peak performance window. So we have the green zone, we have the yellow zone, and we have the red zone. The green zone is your peak performance window. You place your deep and critical work in this within this time frame. And then the yellow zone is when your energy is low, mid energy. So you can schedule your meetings and every other thing that doesn't require deep focus from you. When your energy slumps, what do? Schedule administrative tasks, checking your emails, and other logistical tasks to be executed within this window. Your instructions are clear. From all I have discussed today, your instructions are clear. You know what to do. Do not leave here and write a longer plan. Pick one bottleneck, apply one framework to it immediately, and execute. No more analysis paralysis, right? Get into the waiting list of Unstoppable Me. So cohort 7 kickstarts on the 17th of August 2026. The link will be dropped in the description. If you have a goal to execute, if you want your ideas to take flight, if you want to elevate your self-concept, if you want to shift from planning to executing, get into Unstoppable Me, the 90-day deep execution, deep dive execution accelerator, right? So I have another um, resource that can help you. If you don't have a project or a goal, but you're sinking deep in overwhelm and you really want to redesign your time or your day, there's a 1 hour strategy session you can sign up for, and that's the Time Architect. So we cut through time leaks, we run through your strategy and redesign your time so you have the freedom to do the work you need to do. I hope this has helped you today and you are not living here the way you came. So we talked about the Time Architect, mastery through accountability, and we discussed the if-then friction firewall, sequential engineering and micro deadlines, and aligning your biological readings through energy mapping. There's another research I want to read for you quickly before we run along. So there are top barriers to execution from a report that was done again, and they said poorly communicated goals scored 82%. No accountability systems was 78%. Can you see? Fragmented priorities 74%. Decision fatigue 68%. Outdated skills, 62%. And other admin inefficiencies, time wastages here and there, 40%. So 63% of corporate strategy values never materialize, and 50% of all professional projects succeed. 90% of executives admit that the execution gap is to blame for missed deadlines, and 7% of professionals are applying all core execution practices consistently. Only 7%. Only 7%. We need to scale that up. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Elizabeth Omorere, the productivity strategist. If you have any questions for me, quickly drop them in the comment section so I can take it. Thank you all for joining me today. Stella, I can see Ashraf Aziz, Muhammad Ashraf Aziz, and I can see Macrostano. Thank you all for joining me today. So I'll wait a few minutes. If you have any questions that you want to ask, please drop them in the comments so I can take them briefly. Okay, so I think some people missed the parts that I read from the book earlier when we joined in, because they're talking about time mastery. So to realize the value of 1 year, ask a student who has failed a few courses at university. To realize the value of 1 month, ask a mother who has given birth to a premature baby. To realize the value of 1 week, ask an editor of a weekly newspaper. To realize the value of 1 day, ask a daily wage laborer who has kids to feed based on his ability to work. To realize the value of 1 hour, ask the bride who is patiently waiting at the altar to meet her groom. To realize the value of 1 minute, ask a person who has missed their connecting flight. To realize the value of 1 second, ask a person who avoided an accident. To realize the value of 1 millisecond, ask the person who has won a silver medal in the Olympics. So you have to learn the value of time. Give every day an assignment. Don't squander a single moment of this one precious life, because within every moment is the potential to prosper, and within every millisecond is an opportunity to win gold. Thank you for joining me today. I didn't see any questions. This is where I sign out for today. Join me same time next week again, where we still talk about accountability and creating that system that powers your execution. Thank you for joining me today. Bye bye.